Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Reina Creole, bringing you that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis, and of course, keeping it real when it comes to theme parks. So, welcome to the After School Special. This is the show where we can't quite meet with certain folks for lunchtime on a Friday. So, you know what? We just meet them after school. And that's what this show is about, just hanging out, having a great time. And I'm so excited about, I'm excited about all our guests. I really am. But I'm always excited to bring guests who work or have worked in Hollywood because I just have so many questions. And I know those of you out there, you're going to have quite a good amount of questions for our guest. So let's see. Actually, Fat Steven had to take a little break. I think a cupcake rolled past him, so he had to go. He had to go check that out. He'll be back. Oh, okay, you are. Okay, cool. I want that cupcake if you caught it.
No, I was just getting the meatloaf out of the oven because he can't do it. And
cupcake. Ooh, meat. Well, meatloaf.
Homemade. So homemade. So picture 3 different types of ground meat mixed together with chopped onions, and then breadcrumbs on top. Then you glaze it with a barbecue sauce. So it becomes kind of like.
Is there any Italian sausage in that?
I don't know what's in it. All I know is it smells good, it tastes good. And
okay, that's all that matters. I was just going to say, last time I made meatloaf, it had like half ground beef, half Italian sausage, and it had like hot pepper and paprika, and oh god, it was good. Yeah, and I think I wrapped it in bacon. Basted it in barbecue sauce, and put it in the oven.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds real great.
And I hardly got to eat any of it because the family inhaled all of it. So how you doing?
It is. We're in the final week of October. It's a really weird day for a lot of people. Have said the same thing. It just feels weird across the board. Whether it's in your head, your body. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Where it feels like everything's just. It's like great. Everything just feels great, but it's not like a bad thing. It's just
really.
I don't know. It feels like the white noise on a television right now. That's what today feels like.
I don't know. I'm kind of in that zone where it's like Toxic Femme was last night.
I know. I was there. City Walk. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I knew it.
I like Nina. I like Nina. Man, like he's City Walk. No.
I didn't say a thing. I said I think I know who this is, but I'm not.
Tom has to ruin everything. He's like, Steven can't have any alt accounts. No, all right.
I was trying to preserve the joke for you, dude.
That's why. Well, preserve Tom in that show permanently in that skin tight suit that everyone doesn't look in.
Well, folks, we are going to bring up our guest, who I'm so excited to talk to. I first saw him on Midnight's Edge, so I'd like to introduce to you and reintroduce to some actor director Tom Konkle. How are you doing there?
I'm great. I'm not feeling like it's a blank television screen today.
No, that's good.
We had a little rain yesterday, so now, last night there was this incredible contrast. I was driving down the road, and the sky was just pitch black with clouds, but the sun poked under it, so you had this golden light with these clouds. It literally looked like Close Encounters, because you just had all these clouds building under it. And I was like, wow, we haven't had rain in a long time. So it just cleansed everything. So I was really glad to finally get some rain. And I've been traveling doing a project. I was actually in Europe and then came back here. So it's good to just go. And then I was so excited when you invited me to be on the show. I'm a huge fan. I have questions for you as well.
Oh, okay, cool. That'll be a nice twist.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like I told you earlier, it's like you run the show there at Toxic Femininity. I love it. And it's like herding cats sometimes. I know.
It is a hot mess, but it is the prettiest hot mess.
I love it. I love it. Well, you have great ideas. I have to say, like, I love your take on things. I love your point of view. I've watched several of your shows, and one thing that is really refreshing is just your take on things, and it's just so well reasoned. And you're one of the best people on YouTube for that. When you had asked me to do it, I'm like, yes, of course. I would love to. So I'm really grateful to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm like,
Steven.
And Steven's not bad either. Steven's
Sorry,
not
that was a
bad
comment of
either.
Vigo right there.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Tom. It's all good. I like Vigo.
Steven, I know from doing the shows with Gary, and
Pop culture
we had
music,
some
yeah.
fun doing that. We talked about Blade Runner. That was something. Blade Runner was a huge influence on me, not really as an actor, but as a filmmaker. So
Ridley
I
Scott.
watched Blade Runner so many times when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, that
Yep.
there was just something about that movie.
It's a cake. It's a layer cake.
It is, and it's
Yeah.
so. I remember my father was complaining, like it's so dark, but I'm like, but that's what it was supposed to be like until
Yes,
you know
it's
the very
noir.
end, that gritty, you know, underworld. Now
Yes,
that was
lived
happening,
in.
and you can't tell, you know, the good ones anyway. You can't tell who's human and who's you know a replicant until you know you
Exactly.
ask the
And
questions and dig, you know, and dig deeper. And it was that, you know, who's real and who isn't.
that's right. And you think about it, no movie looked like that before that movie. You know,
Nothing.
that's how defining that was. And interestingly, it's a combination of one of my favorite genres, which is film noir, with science fiction. And so the idea of a lived-in future that was dark, like you say, it's like where it's, you know, there's gray areas with everybody, you know, and the look of the film felt lived in and, you know, drenched in kind of this dread and night. And then you had this beautiful sort of painterly look of every frame that when I was getting into being a filmmaker, I was like, every frame of that thing, you could stop that movie and go, there it is. That is a picture, you know, that is a painting right there. And the discipline that it takes, I understand a lot more having made a feature film and made some films, the discipline that it takes to create something that every frame has information in it. Every frame has some interest. It feels balanced. It's such a beautiful film.
It really
Yeah.
is. That's one of those that I have to get in 4K, and
Yep.
we'll get into talking Dune a little bit later. Kind of like my
absolutely.
hesitation in watching it first. It had a lot to do
Yep.
actually with Blade Runner. So, folks, there's 16 of you in here watching so far,
Hello.
and actor director Tom Konkle is joining us today, along with my co-pilot Fat Steven Seagal, as always. So let's see who is in the chat hanging out with us here. Let's see. We have Troy Pacelli, who says
Troy.
Tom Konkle is awesome.
It's mutual. He has been so supportive of my movie and all the goofy little sketches that I do and everything. I want to clone Troy. I need to clone this.
They're like gold, aren't they?
That's
People
right.
like Troy.
I am so grateful, really. I mean, the whole point of doing it is to hopefully make someone like Troy go, hey, you know, I enjoyed that. I feel good. You lighten my day for a couple minutes, you know, and that's why I do it.
Oh, awesome. Let's see. We have Arwen Avalon, my fellow Southern Belle, says, hey, y'all. Good afternoon, Lorena. But good afternoon, my dear Arwen. I saw her in my chat so many times, and now she's like streaming with Purple Valkyrie and with others. Yep. And I just love seeing her. I had her on the show. It was a hoot.
How did you meet? How did the two of you meet?
We actually, she would come into my chat, just like she is now, and I'm biased. I love my chat. My chat is the hottest chat on YouTube. The way that they interact with each other, and the way that they interact with me. Because before I got peer pressured into doing YouTube, I would be in the chat doing the same thing. So I always look to the chat when I'm live streaming to kind of keep them engaged. And I love seeing them talking to me and them talking to each other. And, Arwen would just say stuff, interact with folks, say some of the funniest stuff. And then that's how I met her. And I think she was on Loki's show, Loki's Mornings of Mischief. I don't know if you.
Yeah, it's the female episodes he does once a week where he spotlights different female in the community. Yes.
Loki's awesome. But he had Arwen on, and me being the producer type, I need to get her for my show.
Like,
so I need to get her for my show. So
that's
I got
great.
her on, and it's been like that ever since.
I tell you, I've gotten in with this group as well, and I've met some of the nicest people, starting with like Midnight's Edge, and then moving over to Gary's channel, and then other people. It's just a great community, and they're so supportive. You know, people like Troy come up and he's like trying to help me get people on the channel, and he likes the material. Or you'll meet people in the chat and you end up doing their show. And it's like, I finally figured out the alchemy. I've been trying for a while to be like, how does this work? And it's like, if you're genuine and you find your people, then like-minded people tend to flock together. And if we have a same aesthetic and we have the same interests, you will find your people.
The thing is,
yeah.
Go
sorry,
ahead,
it's actually hard to talk. I'm sorry, I was putting the Blade Runner aesthetic up just for the purposes, and I'll just put it
That's
like
beautiful.
this. But that is the perfect alchemy and formula. It is that philosopher's stone. You not only have to be yourself, but you also have to be the handle. Doesn't mean you can't keep the two separate, but as long as you put your personality into that, the like-minded personalities will not only gravitate to you, but they will want to see you succeed. They will support you, and they will be there through most things.
Yes,
they will never
you're
tear
absolutely
you down.
Right.
They will never tear you
down. That is
down.
absolutely right. And I've loved that this has built up over the last few years on YouTube where we have our own little place in the pond and we can communicate. And like she was saying, you know, the chat is everything because you're communicating directly with the people. And I love that. That is so powerful that we have a direct way to reach the people.
All over the world.
All over the world. I'm like stunned. There's people who will be up like really late at night, like in the UK, and then I'll have someone that says, "Yeah, I'm watching from Russia." I'm like,
it's like, what are you doing up? Yeah,
really? But it's amazing. You know, the people that you meet here, and I love it. I love it. And we have Dylan Campbell. Hello, says, "Hey, Lorena, Fat Steven, and chat." Well, hello, Dylan. Hello,
I see Dylan asked me a question here.
Oh, excellent. Well, we will
Reina,
get to that. Folks, if you have questions for Tom, please do put them in the chat.
What is my favorite scary movie?
Oh, Captain Marvel.
I do like scary movies. Ooh. You know what? My favorite scary movie? Oh, go ahead. You have one?
No, I just said Captain Marvel. I was making a joke.
Yeah,
Captain Marvel. Well, yes, for other reasons. I think that's terrifying. Not scary. I would say The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing is probably my favorite scary. And it's also somewhat shaded by the fact that I was lucky enough. I was acting in a commercial, and Rob Bottin was doing the makeup effects, and Rob did all the Thing effects on that movie. In fact, he slept on the floor. He was a kid. He's the one that did the spider creature and all the effects in that thing, and he did my makeup. So I got to actually meet him and work on that, which made it even more personal. This was a while ago, but I've always loved that film because the end scene is so chilling because he uses, you know, breath and the fact that they're, you know, it's gone full circle and we're leaving exactly sort of the way it was left before, but it could get out. And I love the pressure cooker that film created, the paranoia, the you know, not trusting each other to the point of people doing things that were almost as monstrous as the monster. I love that in that film.
That blood scene where they're testing the petri dishes and each one, dude, that was getting awesome. Bam, the whole chair's
get me off this couch.
Get me the hell out of here.
That was some scary. That was like I almost want to say, like I saw Alien first. That was
I love Alien.
First, that was like horror in space, and that I wasn't allowed to see it when I was a kid. So I got the novelization. I couldn't believe my school actually had the novelization in the library.
Wow.
Yeah, they had it, you know, in the library. I'm like, there's a book of a movie, and I sat and I'm like, oh my God. And then years later, I finally got to see it. And I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
It is absolutely terrifying and loved every
It's primal.
minute.
It's such a primal film. You know, right from that dinner scene, you know, where they're having
that one. When I heard how that was shot, the only people who knew were the prop guy who had him wired up, and the guy was gonna. So the reaction of the people.
Veronica Cartwright, you can see her. She's losing it.
I'm like, man, that's like, and I think ever since then in pop culture, that's like the best joke to play with somebody.
I agree.
Hey, Stephanie Jana Sex Smugglers Cantina says, "Hey, Rue. Well, hello, my dear. Always great seeing you here." And I see Whereas, oh man, I'm sorry. The chat just like jumped on me like crazy. So I need to go back up a little bit. I see Adega Outlaw is here. The author, Adega Outlaw, is here. So, so glad to see you, my dear. Says, hi, Lorena Creole and Crisco Champ.
What? Oh, for
Crisco
God's sake,
Champ.
Adega, come on, man.
Crisco Champion.
I'll tell the story. He he sent me 3 Babylon 5 books, right?
Yeah.
And he accidentally, instead of writing $30, wrote $300 as the worth and caused me import charges for gifts. And he still mocks me for it. I got you back, but his books are out. He actually has his books out now. It's great. Thank you, Adega. Crisco Champion just got back at you. I love it, man.
Well, hello, Martin Sue says, hey, yo, glad to see you here again. And of course, we have Aiken, who is here. Troy Pacelli says, Tom has the coolest channel with the best material. Criminally undersubbed despite my best.
He does not lie. He does not lie. I criminally undersub. Yep. I've been putting stuff up. I mean, it's a mixed bag of comedy, and even the film is up there. You can see the film, because the channel is monetized. But I haven't done the best job of like getting people to watch. I'm too busy making this stuff that I haven't done a good job of advertising myself very well. So I appreciate Troy's efforts.
There is one way you can do it. It's already up on your channel, right?
Yeah.
What you can do is you've probably already made promo ads before, right? And they're on your channel as well for the movie, right? Like 1 or 2 minutes. What you can do for every live stream is attach that as the trailer before your live stream goes live, so people can actually watch it, and then and then put a directional to where it goes.
That's a good idea. I will try that. I have a couple of different trailers that could play really well in front. Mm-hmm. So yes, that's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, that's Steven. Yep. He's the idea guy. That's why he's on my team.
In between meals,
that's right.
Yeah. In between
meals.
Yeah.
Yes. I give him the cupcakes I don't want.
You feed him pay him.
Wow! All of a sudden I've turned to the dumpster beside the house.
Let's see. It was chicken nuggets, and then it was cupcakes.
That's right.
I don't like peanut butter cupcakes. So I give them.
Just hand them off. Yeah.
I get in the way.
That's funny.
Let's see. We have Steve Kenobi in the house. Says, hi there, Lorena and company. Hope you are all well. We are definitely doing well, my Viking friend. Hope you are too. Hope you are as well. And let's see who else we have here in the Lord, StreamYards just jumped on me. I see my girl Kaylee D. Hello, my dear. Kaylee is amazing in the fandom. She like promotes everyone's streams.
I saw she did that. That was nice.
She's so, she's so helpful. And I'm telling you, if I forget to like tweet out the stream, she'll go ahead and do it.
I saw she picked that up. She put a link for me. I'm like, who? I love her. Yeah.
She is amazing.
That's awesome. Thank you.
That's why she's one of my wrenches. I
love
it. I'm sure Blade Runner inspired a lot of dystopian anime and style. Oh, I believe it.
Oh, absolutely. From Ghost in the Shell and Akira, all of it.
I did have a question, Tom. Have you thought about, if you do have spare time, maybe try making it? You have memberships on your channel, right?
I don't know. I don't think I do.
You can maybe set aside maybe once a day, a month with your members, if you do have it, and just do a watch party with Tom Konkle. And you can actually give a director's monologue over top of your stuff.
Oh, like a commentary track. Oh, that might be interesting. I'll have to look at that. If that comes with the monetization, then I'll have to look at that. Yeah,
it does.
Well, hello, half-eaten hooker. Thank you so much. That name, Lord.
Wow.
Hey, people.
Vegas comes here. Holy shoot.
Well, thank you for the £5 sterling, especially as it's worth more than American money.
That's
I really do appreciate that, my dear. Says, hey, people. Well, hello to you. Hello to you. Man, I almost cried when I would visit the UK and try to buy stuff and then find out the exchange rate.
I know. With that VAT tax on top of it.
VAT tax. I remember going through well, customs immigration, I don't know. But as soon as you
Mm-hmm.
land, you got to fill out that form and all that. And they're like, okay, where are you coming from? Do you have return ticket back? I said, yes, sir, I do, because this exchange rate is crazy. I'm
It's
leaving in
killing
3 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like it doesn't go quite as far.
No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. But I bought some of the best stuff. My family, they didn't care about me when I came back. All they
Yeah.
cared about was, did I go to Marks and Spencer? Did I get all the chocolate candy
That's
and
right.
muffins and stuff and bring
Right.
it back? That's all they freaking cared
That's
about.
right. They're like, "Where's the teas?" Yeah.
Yes, where's the tea? Where's the cookies? Oh, excuse me, biscuits.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
Biscuits.
biscuit is a totally different thing here in the
That's true.
US.
I as an actor, I work as a Brit a lot. I play a lot of British characters, and one time I was doing Edinburgh, and they have a fringe festival and things like that, and I was playing a British character, and so the whole thing I'm English in it.
Mhm.
And in fact, I even did a comedy TV show with John Cleese from Monty Python as a Brit. Yeah,
No way.
it's called The Art of Football. It's the history of soccer, football.
Uh-huh.
And it's me and him doing 26 sketches about soccer, like the rules and all the different things and all the weird things that happen in it. You can see it. It's online places.
It's funny because
Right.
I saw one of the skits on your channel where you were
Yes.
doing the weather, like in
Yes.
biblical times, and I'm like, why does this seem like Monty Python?
Yeah, that was something I used to do in my live show. It was an original piece that I did as part of my sketch troupe. And one time I came off the stage and I had been playing this British character, and this little old lady at the end kind of came up, and she was obviously from Scotland rather than England. And she goes, "Do you know where Princess Street is?" And I'm without thinking, with an American voice, I'm like, I think the tunnel's like down there, and if you go 2 streets down. She goes, "Oh, lad, don't try the American accent. It sucks." I was like, wait a minute. It's like, oh, no, it's not very good, is it? Your accent's not good at all. Stick with the British. Yeah.
That's funny
Yeah.
because when I was in the UK, I'm just like, I know you're speaking English. Like I could tell there was a difference between, the ones that lived, in near London, and you go
Yes.
out to the country and the accent would change a little different. But I
Yes.
would run into some people who were straight from Ireland and they're talking. I'm just like,
You're like, what?
I know you're speaking English to
That's
me.
right.
I know you are. I'm like, even my friend's Irish grandma, her brogue is not this thing.
That's right. They're like, oh, go up the apples and pears, and you go down Derby both phones, and you're like, what?
I'm sitting. I'm just like, it's gonna take me a while.
Yeah. It's so
It's
true.
like, no, don't feel bad, because those of you in the UK, don't feel bad, because even here in America, depending on where you are,
Yeah.
I have country Florida cousins, and I swear to God, they're speaking English, but I can't figure out what the
Yeah.
heck they're
You
saying.
got to figure out what do you say?
Mhm.
It's wait for a sound you recognize.
Exactly.
But
Hey, Robert says hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
And we have Theme Park
Hello.
Casual who says, hey, kids. Hello, Theme Park Casual. And there are 30 of you guys in here watching. Thank you so much. We have Crispy Critters in here too, because
I
let's
love these
see.
names.
Arch Obler once said that he couldn't show you anything scarier than what you can imagine. Spielberg took that philosophy and bad special effects and made Jaws. Absolutely.
That's
And
true.
we talked about this actually on my Welcome to Florida stream, where we were talking about the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes. I like that film.
And
Yeah.
it's like what you couldn't see
Is what
that
really terrifies.
is what really terrifies you. And it's just like, remember, Spielberg probably got that from, it would make sense, if he did. And we have for $1.99 super chat, and thank you so much for being a channel, my
Thank you.
dear. She says, hi, Lorena, Tom, and Fat Steven Seagal. We got that diamond and we got that smiley face. We'll actually be on the show Thursday with Fat Steven. We are going to start to dissect not season 1, but episode 1 of Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Oh, that's good. I love the fact that Fat Steven has me as his icon right now.
Yes.
That's actually me.
I love that. The Kickstarter.
That's me.
The cup was
Crowdfunding
great.
the Death Star.
The cup was great. Like, I love my dad, wherever it was. It was like best dad in the world. He just keeps banging the mouth breather.
Yes, world's greatest dad.
That ranks up there with the robot chicken skit
Oh,
about the Death Star. What?
Yes. What?
What's the aluminum falcon? He's like,
oh God,
going off on him.
Yes.
Oh God, you must smell like hot, rotting garbage rolling around in space the last 2 weeks.
Burnt bacon, you know. Tell me you're crying about Padamame or whatever her name was.
And at the end, all you hear is him like turning his head going,
Oh my gosh.
It's funny, that sketch came out of a genuine frustration and experience that I had where I tried to crowdfund something. And, you know, the act of crowdfunding requires so much discipline and so much like getting it out there. And I started joking with the guy that I did sketch with, Dave. And I started riffing that, you know, wouldn't it be funny if, like, can you imagine they had to crowdfund the Death Star? So I started as Darth doing it and then coming up with lines for him. So we went back and forth and then we kind of looked at each other and we're like, we need to do this. So we put together the Vader thing and actually handmade the Imperial costume. And then we shot it as segments, and we even have like Imperial language up as the perks and the stuff like that. And it just devolved, and we just laughed our asses off the whole time we were filming it.
It was absolutely hilarious. I was just in tears because I could picture that.
You can feel his pain. You feel his pain.
All I'm thinking is I'm hearing Palpatine from Robot Chicken say, do you know what this is going to do to my credit?
Exactly. You know what this is going to do to my credit?
I know.
So funny.
Well, Troy has a question for you, Tom.
Yes.
Tom, what is the next project you have coming up that we should be watching for?
There are a few. I just released, to keep my sanity during all the weirdness last year, I came up with the Mindstream Players, which we do live, like literally live performance of either old radio shows or original radio shows on Zoom, and you can see us perform it. And I did a take on Flash Gordon that I just dropped. And it's sort of a Mel Brooks crazy version of Flash Gordon. But what's great is it's a high wire act. We're literally doing it live on Zoom. You can see everyone performing it in the moment. It has sound effects. It has music and everything. That just came out. The next thing that is probably going to happen is next year I'm doing 2 films. One is called Savage. It's a serious science fiction that takes place on board a ship that's kind of falling apart, and it's about people being trapped with someone in their crew that's the only way they can get home, and yet he wants to murder everybody on the ship. And it's called Savage. And then another thing I want to do is more of a sci-fi fantasy adventure. It's kind of an old school, I would say, like, you know, Treasure Island, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's called Island in the Stars. And it has Vernon Wells in it, a bunch of great Australian actors. We're kind of circling. He's friends with Brian Brown. We're trying to get maybe Sam Neill, maybe some other, you know, people of that, you know, Australian talent that's down there and film it down there. So Island in the Stars and Savage are the 2 films. And then the radio stuff is out right now.
Wow. Amazing. That's great. That's great. I'm going to have to check, especially Flash Gordon. I love Flash Gordon.
Oh, it's fun. I love it too. And we just started riffing on it. And it's funny, it took a while, you know, to get a rhythm to it. And I was writing it, but then you kind of put it away for a while. And I listened to it for the first time in a few months because I was working on something else. And I caught myself laughing at our own thing because I'm like, I forgot about that line. We had a lot of fun because... What's that?
There's your next one, Tom. You should just do a crowdfunding for Emperor Ming building his death laser.
That's right. Yes. To improve the curb appeal of Mongo.
Yeah.
I would drop in for that one. That's for sure. Well, thank you, Troy Pacelli, for the $5 super chat. I so do appreciate it. He says, this is thanks for Fat Steven making the suggesting of memberships on The Real Deal with Tom Konkle. I want in on that.
Yeah.
I'll have to pass that on to Fat Steven.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah, no, it's actually a good idea because I didn't do a commentary track on the Blu-ray or the DVD. And it would be interesting to interact with people and watch it with people, so you get that kind of feeling of being in the moment and having them ask questions or whatever. It's a really good idea.
Thank you.
So thank you, Stephen.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll take 5% of whatever you make off it. So
Hey, 5% of nothing is fine with me.
It works perfectly. It sounds like my whole life in an allowance.
Well, here's someone.
That's a verbal contract. For everyone's watching, I got 5% of nothing. Someone mark that and clip
5% of nothing.
Here's someone I haven't seen in a while. It's Bone with that precious avatar. I love it. Let's see, it's a $2 super chat, and it's my Shiba Inu dog taking back and forth with the farting hearts that smell like cinnamon. Thank you. Thank
cinnamon.
you.
How would you know it smells like what?
Because that's how it is in my head.
Oh, okay.
It's the theater of the mind.
Yes.
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 Leathery bacon.
Yes.
Right. Smells like bacon.
Wow. So, Tom,
yes,
I ask you. So, first of all, how did you get interested in acting? Because at one time, I was considering acting possibly as a career, and the first thing my parents were just like, "You're not going to make any money off that." I'm like, okay, you got a point. I actually do want to go into engineering, but okay, maybe they're like, okay, maybe finish college and, maybe you can go to acting. I never really went back to that, but I kind of I would take cinema appreciation, screenwriting classes, things like that. So how did you get into acting, and just what just inspired you to get into
what? I almost always knew I wanted to do it. I grew up in Virginia, just outside of DC. And so there wasn't a lot of opportunities for acting, but I was an only child. And literally, my parents saved some recordings where I did a radio show where I played all the guests. I'm 3 years old, 4 years old. And I'm like, okay, my next guest is. And then I'm like, okay, what are you doing here? And I'm like, wow, I was 4 years old. And the way that I related to other kids, I now know this in retrospect. I think when you examine, I've thought about this a lot, why am I who I am and how did I end up here? One of the ways I think as an only child I related to people is in the DC area, there's a lot of military families. And so you would make a friend for a couple of years and then they would get shipped out and they would move somewhere else. So I constantly had to have social skills to quickly bond with other kids and have something I always wanted to have a point to the friendship. It's let's get together, but also let's do a haunted house in July when they don't expect it, And so I would do stuff like that, and I would rally the kids in the neighborhood to do that. Oh, somebody in the chat says they're from Alexandria, Virginia. That's where I grew up. Yeah, there we go. I went to Thomas Jefferson High. And so I think the actor in me grew out of both an enjoyment of watching, my parents laugh at something I did, or getting this kind of rush that I would get by being someone else. I would have a layer between me and them that I could entertain them, or I could disappear into another character, because being an only child, that was the only way I could bond with someone. And I was treated like an adult by my parents. So I had to figure out how to get along. Later, I realized it was a profession. It was a craft. And I started acting, honestly, to protect some of my own productions. When I got into college, I really got into writing and filmmaking. But I knew I would show up for some of my stuff. So, you know how that is, Yeah. So I started acting within my own pieces as well as other things. And I realized, I really enjoy this. I could make this work, but it's a cruel, cruel profession. When they turn you down, they don't like you. It's like they're rejecting you. And I realized that didn't bother me that much. It rolled off of me. And so I was really lucky. I kept at it, just like anything. The more you do it, the better you get. I booked a commercial while I was still there in college. And I was in a creative writers performance lab doing live shows. And I've done live shows my whole life. There was a time in the 90s where I did a show every Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday. So I did hundreds of live shows. And that's where you really get your craft acting. But at the same time, I started learning filmmaking. And so when I booked that commercial, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And when I went to see Star Wars as a kid, I told my parents, I'm leaving. I'm not coming back. And my mom was like, but you're our only family. I'm like, what are you going to do with us? She said. And I said, I'm going to put you in a home. I'm sorry. I'm leaving.
Oh,
yeah. I was 10, and
well, yeah.
and they were right. The day after I graduated, I packed my car. I drove 4 days without stopping, came to LA, did not have anybody, lived in my car. And the day before I would have pretty much lost the rental that I had all my stuff, I found an apartment. And had I not, I would have been on the street. And so I really wanted it. And I think I'm of that philosophy that if you really want it, you burn the boats. When you land, you burn the boats, you can't go back. And it's been really hard, but I'm proud, for the last 24 years, it's been my day job. That's like what I do. Like I'll do commercials or voiceover or video games or occasionally TV or some movie or something. And it took a long time to get there. And in the intervening, this is a very long answer to your question, but in the intervening time, it was weird. I was a filmmaker and I was into telling the story and big picture stuff. And I found myself identifying more with the people behind the camera sometimes than the actors. And so what happened was a weird flip. I came out as a director. I've been through film school and doing these things, but the first pilot I ever directed, I ended up acting the parts for everyone. And the producer came over and he's like, why aren't you in this? And so I flipped. I went from being a director and producing to acting. And I acted and it started to work for a while. So I said, this is where I must be. And only recently, I'd say in the last 10 years, did I give myself permission to say, you know what? I don't want to be a waiter. I want to own the restaurant. So I started Luminactus to eventually create a feature like Trouble Is My Business and hopefully get more ambitious projects with bigger budgets. But I needed to be an actor first to understand how actors felt when you're filming, that way of like getting the support, not just being an object that's moved around. That the first thing that happens when you say cut is everyone goes, how was it? Was it all right? Every actor looks over at the camera. The director's like, is everything all right? And half the time you see this, they're like, oh yeah, you're fine. You're good. So 15, and they're not paying any attention, So I vowed not to be that guy. And I think everybody loves to work with me because at the end of the day, I have their back. And I know as a professional actor, I know how it feels to not feel enrolled in the project or enrolled in the story. And so as I continue to act and move more behind the camera, I want to bring both of those things. Like I know the technical business of making a film and creating, a script, but I also know how it feels like to be that delivery, that person that has to stand there and make it real. And I think that's the special little thing that I can bring to the table as I do more movies.
I found some of the best directors have been actors themselves. Like I always think of like Leonard Nimoy.
Yep. Oh yeah. And Clint. Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, because they know, because like you were saying, they've been on that side of the camera, so they know what it's like and what they need to do to motivate their actors to get the best performance
that is true.
out of them. Even I want to say Peter DeLuise, actually. I believe on SG1, because I would talk to him a lot. And I think somebody kept flubbing their lines. And he basically said, oh, who did you have to screw to get this job? And that was just like enough to break up the tension that the next take,
and then
they got it. They got it right.
Yeah, a surprising amount of people, even in commercials and television, the director has been an actor at some point, or at least has taken acting classes and understands the process that helps you get there. And of course you could be a brilliant director and not be like Denis Villeneuve. I doubt he was an actor, but he's a brilliant visual stylist. But for my little flavor, what I do is I'm an actor who happens to make films or make these sketches, and I know how to make them, but I also know how it feels to make them.
May I ask a question, Thomas? Sorry.
Sure.
Lord, all right.
I've gone through and perused your IDMB because I'm a stalker and I usually hang out in people's bushes. But I see some of these things here when it comes to you doing the English version
Yeah.
voice acting, like Wings of the Enemies, Black Magic, M66,
Yes.
and stuff like that. Street Fighter as well. You were Fei Long Bud.
Yep.
I want to know: is there any anime or English translation of a character you would have wanted to have voiced, but never got the chance, and do you still hold hope for that character in the future?
Ooh, I had wanted to get in on Appleseed. I almost got in on that. I would have loved to have been in Appleseed.
What about Pat Labor?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't get an audition for that. The way that I got into it was interesting. I was doing some a comedy album where I was playing a bunch of different characters in one recording studio. And this guy named Jack, who at the time worked for Dimension Films, was starting to do dubs of manga, anime, that kind of stuff. And he's like, "How many guys are in there dubbing right now? Like, who's doing the dubbing?" They're like, "No, that's Tom he's doing all the characters in this thing." He's like, "Can you come in here?" So I played a villain in one of them, and I literally like attacked myself in one thing as two different characters. And he was like, "All right, I want to hire all of you."
Uh-huh.
I ended up doing those and eventually even dubbing with Jet Li. I did a bunch of his movies, Jackie Chan,
Trigun.
Chow Yun-fat.
You were in Trigun, the English. Oh my god, that was one of my favorite. And Macros Plus. Like, come on.
Yes.
You gotta give yourself a little credit. Like, those are too well known, especially Trigun, however you want to call it.
Yeah,
Trigun.
Great. Yeah, I played multiple characters in that. Sometimes IMDb would pick one character that I played, but usually when I was in a session, I would play 3 or 4 characters in that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, that's amazing.
There's a few.
That is rare. It's a rare thing in Hollywood that you've been working for this long, consistently.
Been a while. Yeah. No, I'm lucky. I think I have 80 credits. So
Wow.
I've been at it a long time. Work with amazing people. The people that I've gotten to meet have just been. I've learned so much from. It's like anything. You apprentice with somebody. If you're an electrician, you want to work with the best electricians. You want to learn the craft. I wanted to work with some of the best directors, some of the best actors, and I was really lucky to meet them. I have a funny story about Vernon Wells. He plays the villain in Trouble Is My Business, but of course he was Wes in Mad Max 2. He was in The Road Warrior. And when I moved to LA, I had to take a job for about a month. I was a Christmas help at Circuit City. And I was terrible at it because I told the truth. I tell people, you don't want that. You don't need that. And so Vernon walks in, and this would have been late 80s. I just moved here. And he walks in, and I was like, "Vernon Wells." So I go running up to him, this little kid, 20 years old kid. And I'm like, "One day I'm going to work with you." And he looks at me. He's like, "Yeah, sure, kid." And so I'm sitting on the set of my film, and he's beating me on a chair in one scene of thing. And I go, "Vernon, I told you when I was 20 I was going to work with you, but it took me 25 years. And he's like, "You got to be kidding." He was the first celebrity I ever met in LA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it went full circle. Yeah.
That's
Crazy.
amazing.
And he's a great guy. He's actually producing Island in the Stars with me. One of the reasons I'm making it Australian is he's got a lot of clout in Australia as far as a producer. He's produced a lot of things. And so we formed this great friendship having done this. And now he's like, he told me his bucket list character, and it literally lined up with the script Island in the Stars. I'm sitting there looking at it, and I'm like, "Are you messing with me?" And he's like, "Oh, I want to play this kind of, Long John Silver kind of character who's duplicitous and stuff." And I'm like, "I have a script." So I showed him the script, and he's like, "This is my bucket list. This is the thing I want to do."
Oh, well, Crispy Critters has a question for you, Tom. She says, "What's your favorite bad movie?" Mine is a toss-up between Plan 9 and Manos, The Hands of Fate. Oh, goodness.
Wow. That's good. I will. Here's a bit of trivia. Manos, The Hand of Fate. The son of the man who's in that is Benton Jennings, and he plays the father in my movie Trouble Is My Business, and he's in 3 productions that I've done. That is his dad, is the star of Manos, Hand of Fate. He's originally from Texas, and he's in that movie. So yeah,
That movie was so bad. And I
so
want to
bad.
say I finally saw Plan 9 from Outer Space a couple of weeks ago. And I gotta say, I think Manos in the Hands of Fate is worse.
Yeah, Manos is like almost like in that unwatchable area where you're just like, what were they thinking? Like it's almost unintelligible.
Have you ever watched Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Yes.
Did you see the episode where they played Manos in the Hands of Fate?
No, I did not. I'll bet it was brilliant. Oh,
Literally, they had to stop it and say, I have to apologize to you. This is the worst movie we have ever watched. It, it was so bad.
so bad. They're like, look, I'm sorry.
That's the first time, I think the first and only time where they ever apologized to the audience for having them play that movie.
I'm in one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I will say, to answer their question, it's called Hornet. It's a ripoff of Bumblebee, and it was done for the Asylum. And I play one of the villains in it. And I knew it was bad when we were filming it. Friends of mine asked me to do it. And they tricked me into being in it because they're like, how would you like to be the villain or whatever? Well, okay, once I got on the thing, I'm like, oh my God. We actually, at the cast and crew screening, we did have an apology. It's like, look, we're sorry. We do this. But yeah, I would say the movie that I'm in, Hornet, is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And I'm in it.
I'm gonna have to check
it's called Hornet.
That one out.
Ask for it by name.
Sherry, I don't think I've seen you in my chat.
Oh my
before,
God.
so welcome.
The CGI is so bad. I'm sorry, Tom. Oh my God.
What Hornet? Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh my God.
Well, a movie where the CGI was downright, I mean, gorgeous, I have to say, is in the movie Dune. Now, I actually saw this on HBO Max first. I was not quite sure. I wanted to drop the money to see it in IMAX. I know a lot of people talked about Denis Villeneuve. All I know is he rebooted Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a bit of a problem with that because I like Blade Runner, Ridley Scott. That's the Ridley Scott version of Blade Runner. So I believe, I believe it was Steve who actually convinced me to watch Blade Runner. Was it
2049?
2029. Yeah. So I sat down, I watched it. I'm like, it's not bad. Wasn't bad. Beautifully shot. I will say that it was beautiful. It was beautifully shot. It's like, all right, I'll give Dune a chance, even though I'm extremely partial to the David Lynch version of Dune, probably because I met Kyle MacLachlan. But not too long after moving to LA, I ran into Kyle MacLachlan. I'm like, oh man, it's Paul Atreides. I met Paul Atreides. School's on the way.
That's great.
But then this came out. So, what were your impressions of Denis Villeneuve's Dune?
I got to see it.
I guess we should say.
Yeah, part one, I guess. Yeah, I got to see it at the Man's Chinese Theater at the IMAX there, and it's 100-foot screen. I think it's the biggest IMAX screen in the U.S. right now. It won't be for long, but it was many things. It was completely immersive in that it created a world I utterly believed existed. I believe that Denis Villeneuve totally understood the details of the different houses, the political machinations. To me, as I was saying to you earlier, the pitch for this is really, it's Lawrence of Arabia in space. And it feels like that. It feels epic, and an epic in the best way, in that it had quiet moments, but it also felt like things were happening beyond what we were seeing, that it felt very lived in. The themes were very strong, I thought, in that it's about the exploitation of resources on a planet, which is completely relatable. It's about greed. It's about betrayal. And it's also about there's a sort of messianic message underneath it of someone who wants to lead the people that are being exploited out of their problems. And for me, he hit so many notes right. There were some things that I thought the Lynch film did better. But in other ways, this is its own animal. It's a meditation. It's more meditative than action film. And I feel like it was a very adult approach to science fiction, which is so needed right now because we need different voices and different styles. Even if you disagree with the film, at least there's a film out there that is a more solemn, introspective, thoughtful take on science fiction, that it isn't just pew, pew, pew every 5 minutes. It's very much about creating a world that's relatable, but then just using allegory to talk about things we need to talk about, like the environment, like exploitation, like all the things that Dune addressed. He distilled beautifully. Now, does it work as a standalone film? Almost. I feel like they picked a point and chopped. They could have picked before or after where they chopped.
Yeah.
It's not a complete idea, because the very thing we're looking for is, okay, lead the people out of the problem, you know? And this is about the setup. And I feel like there's probably a great 6-hour movie in this part one of all the things they had to cut, but you had to chip away at it to get at its essence. The cast is amazing. Everybody brings it. Everybody brings their own flavor to it. You can tell that, you know, Denis really had them understand the material. He really understood how it needed to feel, how it needed to move. So for me, you know, Dune is definitely worth seeing, if only because this is how you world build, and this is how you create something that asks something of you. It doesn't meet you all the way. It's something you can think about. It's something that is much more reflective and meditative and open to some interpretation. We need that. We need movies that are not all the same type of thing or about the same type of thing.
Oh, good. I'm gonna get this super chat really, really, really quick. Mexican Iron Man for $10. Thank you so very much, my dear. Gracias, and thank you for being a channel member. He says, "Hi, Stephen. So excited! It's my favorite director / writer / Hollywood combo, dude. Hooray, Mr. Konkle. P.S. Reina, you look amazing. Giggity. Ah, well, thank you." Thank you. Where does Tony Stark sunglasses? Remember?
That's right. He's the best. He sent me a copy of my screenplay. You can buy my screenplay on Amazon, and he sent me a Blu-ray to sign. But the best thing was he sent me this.
That coin, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw that post, dude. That's awesome.
Look at that.
Yeah,
that is so cool.
He made my day. It's going right here.
Do you know the story of the coin?
I'm sorry?
Do you know the story of the coin?
No, I'd love to hear the story.
He lost 8 taco trucks earlier this year, and this melted down metal is what that coin has been forged from.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I have visited many a taco truck.
Yeah.
All right, I still don't know that.
Thankfully, he kept the taco truck at Universal over there in Springfield, where the Simpsons are. He kept that taco truck.
Kept that one. Yeah, you got to keep that one.
Yeah, he had to keep the Bumblebee employed, so he kept that one over.
Good to see you, Mexican.
Yes, thank you so much, Mike. I so appreciate it. Mike is awesome.
Mike is the best.
I did have a question though, Tom, and I think this is the one thing a lot of people maybe don't ask, but they sometimes think about. We talk about the cast, we talk about the characters and how the story and the world building is, but we're forgetting the most important character of which this all is. Does Dune itself feel alive as the character without actually having to say anything? Because it's the most on screen through the whole film.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yes, I think place and location is a character in this story. I think one thing that Denis Villeneuve does really well is create a sense of place. In a lot of his films, you very much feel like that's a place that people live, or that's a place that really exists. He did it on Caladan. He did it with Dune, I think, because it had that Lawrence of Arabia feel when they are out in the dunes. To me, it felt like you could die out there. You felt alone. You felt the harshness of the environment. And I love that he had that sort of little sparkle in the air that you could feel the spice.
I love that. That was so tangible. Yeah. That's one of the things that I liked that Denis Villeneuve did that wasn't necessarily done in the
Mhm.
David Lynch version. Just, I don't know, due to maybe they were just focusing more on action. I don't know, but it's like the spice seemed like we hear about it, we see the effects of it with, with the eyes with the Fremen.
Yep.
You see it, when the space navigators use it to fold space and time for interstellar travel. So you see it being used, but this was the first time you actually saw it,
Yes.
and just how prevalent it was, and just how hard it's like, okay, they have to actually harvest this. It's like harvesting air because it's
Yes.
so, into everything. I loved that effect
Yeah, I
between
did too. I did too. I
that.
felt like it was granular, like it was a real thing. And yeah, I missed not seeing folding space. I missed not seeing a guild navigator. But
Mhm.
part two, that's something we can look forward to.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
could probably see that. And
Yeah.
another thing, and I talked about this when I reviewed the film. Another thing that they did, that Denis Villeneuve did, which I actually think he improved on,
Hmm.
was the Bene Gesserit voice.
Yes. Big improvement.
That was because, with the David Lynch,
Yep.
again, probably due to limitations, it just sounds like, the Bene Gesserit were like the, Liam Neeson from Taken, That's
Right.
kind of
Exactly.
like what it sounded like. And people
Yeah.
just, the stiff, movement or whatever. But in this one, it gave that
Yeah.
dimension and power to the fact that
Yes.
how powerful that voice is. And it's like, if they can do that,
Yeah.
what else are the Bene Gesserit capable,
Exactly. And I'll
of?
tell you, when you see it in IMAX on that big screen with that Atmos sound system, you felt it in your bones. Everyone in the audience jumped the first time the voice went. You could see the audience ripple and jump. It was like, "Rah!" And you're like, whoa, and so that kind of force, just using sound to
Mhm.
suggest something like that, it was beautiful. And you feel it in your bones. That's the only way I can describe it. Is the same way the music is kind of married to the picture. You wouldn't listen to just the soundtrack, but you would listen to the soundtrack with the picture, and it all makes sense. And that voice, there's something primal about it.
Very. It's like you can't, and it's like you can't even hear it right away. There's
Yep.
just like this delay, and almost like it's on a different, wavelength.
Yep.
And I kudos to how Denis Villeneuve and his team figured out how to do that, because that just gave such an additional
Yeah.
dimension. I was very impressed with that
Yeah.
part.
Well, something about it that I think is they thought about sound as much as they thought about picture, and there was nothing that was out of place. There was a level of detail, almost obsessive detail, not only in the soundscape, but I think the music crossed into sound design, and sound design crossed into music, and everything was given its own voice, its own thought. And then in the visuals, it's the best integration I've seen in so long. I mean, my film had a bunch of visual effects, and I had no money to try and integrate it. This film is the best integration of live action and CG effect, or just any kind of visual effect, that I've seen in forever. It literally looks like reality. When you look at the ornithopters flying, you're like, okay, so they built those. There's no doubt in your mind. Your brain is fooled. As cynical as we are now, we can
Mhm.
expect to see anything in a film now, because we know that anything that can be conceived of, you can create on film. But in this,
Right.
I actually felt sad that it wasn't real.
I agree. It's like you'd never seen anything like a ornithopter before. Just looking at how seamless it flies.
Yes.
It's almost like you were looking at a Black Hawk helicopter,
Yes.
flying over the desert, but it's not one. But why
Yeah.
does it still look like one? Because
Yep.
it's
The
so
movement was
seamless.
right. Yeah. The physics were right. The
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 physics
heat
were
haze.
right,
Yep.
everything from how it
Yep.
landed, from how they flew it, just everything. The
Yes. And things like
CGI,
that are
you couldn't
important.
find the difference between when you can't tell something is CGI, that's how you know that it's done well.
Yeah, that's a high standard. And yes, his renders of everything were so photoreal, and so the physics were right, and it was so elegant, and it was for grown-ups. It felt like you were looking into someone else's fever dream. I love that.
He uses scale well
Yeah,
for his
yeah. He always
effects.
put a person or a thing to show how big a ship was in relation to a human. If you'll notice that the sandworms were always against something like that. A ship landing, he would put someone in the foreground, and just anchoring it with something organic fools your brain, but it also gives you a sense of scale. And frankly, that's why the first Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs still look better in that than any of the films after it, because Spielberg knew exactly how to show scale. He knew how to anchor something with reality around it or people to give you a sense that this is part of the tapestry. It's not just tacked on, and things have weight. They feel like they weigh something. They're not just like bouncing around these giant things with no weight. He gave it weight. Yeah. You can tell I'm a little excited.
You know what? I was as skeptical as I was about it. Yeah, you're right. Crispy Critters, Da Vinci did the math. They only had to build it.
That's
It's
right.
it's amazing, isn't it? Like what he
Yeah.
had back then, and the just you know, it's
Yeah. If you
it's
consider
perfect.
what tools he had to work with, amazing.
Exactly,
Yeah. Amazing.
exactly.
See what you
And
can do with no TV? Yeah.
mhm. Come up with
No
all this stuff with
distractions, no
flying
iPhone.
machines. No,
Yeah.
no distractions, none of
Yeah.
that, and just come up,
Yeah, I think I'll paint
something,
something. Yeah.
with something just like
Yeah.
unique. I think another thing that I liked about this film was the tension and the buildup that they kept between House Atreides and House Harkonnen, even down
Yes.
to their home world. I still think David Lynch did Giddy Prime better, but Denis
Yeah.
Villeneuve did Caladan
Yeah.
better, because in the
Yeah.
Lynch version, Caladan just looked like Earth.
Right. I think the delineation between the cultures could have been even more. Like I would have loved to have seen a little more glamour, a little more gaudy on one, because he did go for a very gray palette, and sometimes you weren't sure like which building am I in, which culture am I in. If it was a little
Right.
brighter colors one way or the other, I think you would have had a visual map of where you were a little faster. If I had made the film, I would have probably added color to one or the other to sort of give it a slightly different feel, because everything felt gray. And
Hmm.
and even in the night stuff, his color timing on the film was very dark, very dark and gray. And I feel like Lynch probably did a better job delineating the different worlds in general. But he didn't have the advantage, of the resources and the tools that Denis had. But I agree with you. I think he got one right and probably should have made the other a little bit more of a right turn. Because here's the thing. I feel like the production designer made every culture feel like it was pretty much designed by the same person or the same thing. And it's always more fun to see something where it's wildly different. Like this grew out of a very different
Hmm.
culture. This grew out of something else. And if you look at the film, they
Hmm.
look very similar.
Actually, yeah, because I remember reading the books, like the description that they would use for House Harkonnen, that they had red hair,
Yes.
and it was just a very like
Color.
almost like
Yeah.
wild. Yeah, it was a lot of color. So I was kind of I really missed I missed seeing I kind of missed seeing that. And
Yeah.
I really wish that there would have been a brighter
Yeah. I think he
background.
went all in on the brutalist kind of look with the with the architecture and the stuff, but I definitely would have stepped a little farther apart on each one so that each world did feel alive and did feel like its own thing, but not necessarily designed by the same hand.
Hmm.
That's just the filmmaker in me going, I would have tweaked that a little bit. Yeah. A little something there. Give me some money, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Let's see. Zach says, oh, first of all, thank you, Christiane. I hope I said that right. I'm sorry. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I so do appreciate it. And thank you to you 35 folks in here hanging out with us and hanging out with our guest actor
Yes, thank
director
you.
Tom Konkle. Thank you so much. Zach says the world he builds is alive. You can imagine what's happening over the horizon.
Yes. Yeah.
Very much
Well
so.
said. Yeah, it
Yeah.
feels like there's life outside the edges of the frame. And I think that's so important when you're building a world like a sci-fi world. You want to feel like you're not just seeing one slice, that if you turned and look another way, there would be something there.
Right. Absolutely. Snortopoopas Q Burr says the Atreides dress uniforms in the Lynch version were very classy or old school Tsarist Russian looking. Yes, the ones in the new movie were good, but I like the old ones better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just a sharper color palette.
Yep.
And I think that was the deal. But yeah, I did like really miss
Yep.
what that looked like. Stieg says 20 million copies of the book sold before this movie came out. It'll be interesting to see the sales numbers 5 to 6 years after the movie. It will, because I know for me, and Tom, I don't know if this was the same case for like for you, but when I saw David Lynch's Dune, I could
Mhm.
tell that there were pieces missing.
Yes.
So I actually went back and read, the books and loved reading
Yeah.
the books. So
It's tough. You're right. There's almost no way to pack everything that you need to pack into it. And you're right. The extended cut they tried to do for TV showed that he had filmed a lot more.
mhm.
And I think there's a fan film on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, by Spice Diver that is presumably the definitive version. I actually found out in Germany they're releasing that fan film cut on the
Mhm.
Blu-ray in Germany of the David Lynch Dune, and it's by Spice
Really?
Diver. It's on YouTube right now, and I
Space
think
Diver.
it's a huge improvement over both versions.
I'm gonna have to
And
check.
and,
I'm gonna
and,
have to
and yeah,
check
it's
that
coming out
out.
on a Blu-ray in Germany. It's going to be an extra on the Blu-ray.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
yeah, well done, whoever cut that together.
It
They
said,
added in
yeah,
a lot of the stuff
Spice
that
Divers
you were looking
completed.
for, and when you were reading it, some of it's
Hmm.
back in there.
Cool. I'll have to check that out.
Link
Yeah.
is
And
in
we
the
have.
link is in the private chat. There you go. Spice Diver edit.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so very, very, very much.
Yeah, worth a look.
Drop that in there. Hey, Script Doctor. So
Script.
good to see ya. He says, I'm going to try and see Dune in the next day or so, but I'll be checking out something classical first. Oh, okay.
Interesting. I was just talking to him yesterday. He and I wrote a feature script called The Red Circle, and which is kind of an old school, Jason Statham, Liam Neeson. It's basically Excalibur, but done as a mob movie.
Hmm.
Should be kind of interesting. But I've loved writing with him. I met him through YouTube, and we ended up forging our creative partnership. He's a terrific writer.
Hmm. Yeah, Lynch's film was a great starting point. I mean, I hadn't even heard of Dune before, and
Yeah.
then saw the Lynch version of the movie. But this was just I didn't even look at my watch
Yeah.
because you just get so sucked
Sucked
into.
into it. Yeah, absolutely. That's what film does so well.
Tom knows what classic I'm
Oh
talking.
yeah, we're doing a deep dive into a classic movie
Oh,
tomorrow
okay.
called Out of the Past, and Out of the Past was a film noir by Jacques Tournier in the 1940s, and it's actually the great great grandfather of my film Trouble Is My Business. It had Robert Mitchum in it, Kirk Douglas, Jane Greer. I saw it in film school, and I fell in love with this movie. There's so much. I don't. Have you seen it? Do you know it?
Which one?
It's called Out of the
Out
Past.
of the past? No, I have not.
Oh, do yourself a favor and watch it sometime. It's out on Blu-ray.
Oh
It
Lord, I
was
have so
remade as
many
Against
movies.
All Odds. Yeah, it got remade as Against All Odds with Jeff Bridges in the 80s, I think.
I did see Against All
Yeah,
Odds.
that
I
is a
have
remake
seen
of it.
that.
Yep, yep. So check it out sometime. Out of the Past is amazing. And we're gonna
Okay,
we're gonna do a deep dive into that film
that
tomorrow. We
one.
did Double Indemnity last month.
I wonder what the Dune video game will be like. It's being made by Funcom, who got the Conan license and made Conan Exiles Norwegian studio.
Well, there technically is a Dune game that was out a lot of years ago and was actually a top-down or like real-time strategy if you're looking at StarCraft style. And you'd have to go find your resources, and you'd have worms that would be going through the sand. And if your guys were nearby, you'd have to lift up your stuff and move them. It would just eat your stuff while dealing with the Harkonnen at the same time.
I
Is it?
talk about the. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. That's it. I mean to interrupt you.
So, have you guys heard of it or no?
I have
I
not.
have not. When did it come out?
I'm trying to find. It came out in 1992.
Oh wow,
Give me
wow.
1 second, and I'll bring this up for you.
Okay.
Sure.
I have not heard about it.
I have not heard.
Steve just posted something. I'm waiting for it to come on here. There are 2 Dune games from the early 90s, one strategy game and one point-and-click adventure game. And Christian, oh God, I'm so sorry I'm messing this up. Yes, made by Cyro French studio. It was very cinematic for the time, based on Lynch's movie. Early 90s.
Early
Okay.
90s.
Okay. I had not heard of that. Hey, Commander and Stracker Shadow. He says, "Oh hell yeah, it's awesome." I used to talk about the Spice Diver.
I get that reference to his avatar. I remember that show. You're from UFO, Commander Straker. I love it. I love it. I worked on that show, restoring that show for a brief time. I worked for ITC. ITC had the Thunderbirds and the Prisoner and UFO and Space 1999, and so I helped rescue some of the masters to that series because they were going to be destroyed.
Oh, you're still searching fast, Steven? Okay.
Oh no, there's actually there's all this, but
okay,
Steve knows what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So you would actually build your
That's
bases.
pretty elaborate.
So you'd have like everything else. Worms would be under the sound. You could only build your buildings on the hard terrain, so it wouldn't be subjected to the worm attacks or anything else on the dirt. Whether you're in battle with an enemy or AI, the worms were always patrolling. I loved it. It was great. It was very StarCrafty, but it was very fun.
That's very cool. Graphics are actually pretty good.
I think this is like a remaster, but yeah, they had a bunch.
Yeah,
I think it was Dune 2000. And then we had another one.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Windows 98.
Wow.
That's great. I'll have to look for that. Isn't there a site that has older games, like you can go to the site and download versions? GOG, okay. That's the one.
I remember when I had time to play video games. It's so sad. It's just like, I want to play it so bad, but I have no flipping time.
I know. I get teased. I'm a cowboy and a couple characters in a video game, 2 video games. One it's called Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. And I had never played it. And so my son got it. And I come up on a horse and I recognize the voice and he shoots me in the back. So he's like, I just shot my dad in the back. I was like, I had never seen the game. So I just hear myself coming up like, hey, what are you doing? And then bang, he shoots me in the back. I'm like, thank you, son. You just shot your dad in the back. But I love doing those games because it had hundreds of lines. Like, there were so many versions. Like, I could be irritated if you bumped into me, or if I'm going along on the road, I might antagonize you. So the director of the game would just throw all these scenarios at you, and you had to create all of them. And they had all these little marks on my face, to do it, and a camera filming my eyes and my mouth. And so it was a lot of fun doing that.
Cool. So
I don't know if any of you ever played Red Dead Redemption, but I was in that one.
I have not. I've heard of it, but I've never played it. So I know
it's an old school Western.
Played it.
You might like it, yeah.
Yeah. And it probably will just suck up so much of my time.
Yes, you can get lost.
Yeah.
You'd be riding your horse around.
I remember back in the day losing a whole weekend of playing Grand Theft Auto. I started playing like on a Friday. Next thing I knew, it was time to go to work.
You're like, what happened? Yeah.
Oh my God, what happened that weekend? Oh. So another question to ask you. So
sure.
What I know Dune is awesome and all that. But what other films are you looking forward to seeing?
Oh, I have to admit, I'm curious to see the new Spider-Man movie that's coming out. I'm actually curious to see that. I have not seen the Bond film. I've heard mixed things about it. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it?
I can't bring myself to see it. The last one that I saw was Skyfall. Daniel Craig is not my favorite Bond.
Yeah, he never seems to want to be James Bond, does he?
And no, it's a detachment, and I just couldn't really reconcile that. So by the time Skyfall was a nice place for me to say, okay, I'm done with
You're
the
done.
Bond franchise, but I heard about what happened with the latest 007. I'm just like, I
Yeah,
can't believe it.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. I haven't seen it. I've always had a problem with him because I feel like the character's DNA has changed so much that he doesn't want to be James Bond. Also, they try and connect each one of them so much. You know, that one just picks up where they like Quantum picked up right after the other one. So for me, it never was one of my favorites. So I have no burning desire to see it, which is really strange because I love some of the old school Bond
Same
films.
here.
Yeah, but I'm
Same here.
not crazy about it. As far as films coming out, I can't think of any that I'm like super jazzed to see.
Yeah, I know Ghostbusters is one I want to see.
Ghostbusters Afterlife. When did that comes out?
October,
Okay.
no, sorry, November 19th. I thought it was the 11th, but I forgot they pushed it back like
They pushed
like
it
a
back.
week.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind. I heard it's kind of funny as the French Dispatch. I heard that was kind of funny. I'm curious about Top Gun.
They pushed that back to
Is that coming out this year?
no, they pushed that back. I've been waiting for that Maverick.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that because Top Gun is one of my favorite movies.
Yep. Have you heard anything about The King's Man, the Matthew Vaughn film that has Rafe Fiennes and all that? So it looked interesting. I saw a trailer a long time ago, but it got pushed back like crazy. But it's called The King's Man, and it actually looked pretty good because I like Matthew Vaughn's dynamic, because he has this really great visual dynamic in kind of a crazy off-kilter way. He did The Kingsman, so
okay.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious to see that, but there's not right now. There's not a lot that I'm excited about.
Yeah, there's just not. After I think it's Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah,
and I can't
maybe
really.
Spider-Man. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
see Tobey Maguire again.
I'm kind of on the fence about Spider-Man.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Yeah.
With it. Mexican Iron Man. Thank you so much. Oh, Fast Steven, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
Oh my God, I'm going to replay and look for you. That is one of my favorite games. Are you in Redemption 2 also? Mexican Iron Man. Where's my
Why do I see Mexican Iron Man looking like that's not the voice I want?
I don't sound like it.
I can do it different. Oh my God, I'm going to replay and praise my favorite game ever. Want some shitty beef, shitty chicken, shitty pork?
I think I have a bigger part in 2 than 1. So yes, I'm in 2 as well.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. I
sure
appreciate the support. Aiken says, wow, Mr. Konkle, I can't believe I've heard you in my favorite anime and games and not know it.
Nice. Oh, I love doing those. Some of those stories are so amazing. And I had so much fun playing those characters. Yeah, some of my fondest memories, like dubbing and doing those things, was going through the script and like finding the beats and getting to watch it again and really break it down. It made me reappreciate, the storytelling in them.
Awesome. Let's see here. And there's one more thing I wanted to. Wahaha. That's what I remember, Snort Poopus. I did see the trailer for that. I just kind of looked, said, "Oh, it's okay," and then forgot it literally as soon as I walked out the theater. But now I remember.
Yeah, what's funny? Trailers now, it's so messed up. It's like a trailer. You'll see a trailer for Dune like a year ago, and then you get another trailer a year after that because there's this giant hole where nothing happened.
It's
it's so strange.
Yeah, it's very surreal. Seeing that.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's see.
Oh, there's the page. That's my my YouTube channel.
This is Tom's YouTube. So folks, please do subscribe to Tom Konkle's YouTube channel. I have his YouTube, his Twitter, and his Instagram and his website. So all of that is in the description box. So please go over to his channel and subscribe. And
Absolutely.
there's so much material he has like on his channel. I mean, I'm still tripping over, Darth Vader crowdfunding.
Darth Vader, yeah, crowdfunding the Death Star. Another one that's a British comedy that I did. I had so much fun doing. It's called Invention with Brian Forbes, where basically I'm the same guest on this talk show. I'm the same guy every time coming back, driving the host of the show mad because I come on with like, the hairless toupee, or I've invented the sun, or all these different ones, and it's the interplay between the two of us, and it looks improvised, but it's all scripted. So if you get a chance, watch An Invention with Brian Forbes. That's the one on the left there. It's a lot of fun. You'll probably get a kick out of it. I've been playing that guy on stage, or I actually booked a commercial, and they thought I looked like that guy. Like they thought I had the mustache and hair like that. Yeah. And so I fly up to do the commercial, and at the last minute, I thought, you know what? I'm going to bring the mustache and the wig just in case. So I arrive on the set, and I arrive, looking like me normally, and they're like, wait a minute, that's not you. And I said, take me back to my hotel room. So I literally went back to my hotel room. This is for a Microsoft commercial. And I put the mustache on, I put the wig on. They're like, okay, now you're that guy.
I'm looking at Safety Geeks.
Yeah, Safety Geeks is insane. Safety Geeks is basically before there was an Archer, before there was a show like that. This show, I created it. It's from like 2008, 2009. We had this idea for the most unsafe safety team ever. And it kind of grew out. I was reading about the Darwin Awards. The Darwin Awards are where someone something really stupid, like, lighting a cigarette sitting on a canister of gunpowder.
Yeah, we always say the Welcome to Florida show will like read these crazy stories, and we're just like, okay, who's a candidate for the Darwin Awards on this?
Yeah. So Safety Geeks is the team that goes in to investigate Darwin Award type accidents. And in this case, the guy in the middle there on the phone, he had a forklift that he then put on another forklift to be able to put these things a little higher. So he ends up pinned to the wall by the forklift the entire episode. And they come in to try and figure out what happened, like a CSI team. And we shot it just to look surreal. It's basically the aesthetics of animation, but with real people, like real faces and real bodies, but everything else is fake. So it's like a surreal, almost like Adult Swim type show. And it was one of my first experimentations with using all green screen. And we actually shot it, and we ended up doing it in 3D. It was the first 3D live action show ever.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. The reason that double image is there is the show is originally in 3D. Okay, yeah, and YouTube used to be able to play 3D, but I think they got rid of the functionality of 3D, so now it's just left and right eye. But it's worth a look. It's just silliness. It's wonderfully silly, like Archer.
Yeah, I have to check that out. It's Safety Geeks. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Reno 911.
Yes, it's exactly that. It's just stupid, silly, crazy stuff investigating these ridiculous accidents.
Oh, well, folks, please do sub to Tom's channel. And Tom, do you have anything coming up on your channel you'd like folks to?
Yeah, Script and I are going to be doing a deep dive on some movies tomorrow. We've got one coming up. We've got a couple things. For Halloween, I did a version of Dracula, and that is there on my playlist. You can see I have that playlist right there. There's a bunch of different ones we did, Dracula being one of them for Halloween. Give it a listen. It was performed live. It's a new adaptation of that. And it's a lot of fun. Give it a listen. And then the Flash Gordon audio plays would be a lot of fun to listen to. And then next year, look for Savage and Island in the Stars.
All right. Awesome. As usual, Tom just flies on this show.
I had fun. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on the show. I so appreciate it. Like
it's a pleasure. You and Steven. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Or Darth. I should say Darth. Yeah.
Oh, no. I'll go back to that. Sorry, Daddy, you can have a shitty walk. I don't know which one.
Oh, no, not just. That got me in trouble last night because Chitty Wat. Well, not really. It's just like we just all started riffing on the Chitty Wat joke. We went on for like how
That's
long?
great.
Because it was, oh gosh,
All
'cause
it
was
takes
so,
is one joke. And
yeah, and it just,
Keep
it just
spiraling.
went,
Yep.
it just went from there. It just went from there.
I love it.
Oh,
shitty humor.
well, folks, thank you so much for hanging out with us. I so do appreciate it. And again, Tom, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been
Thank
an
you, Lorena.
absolute pleasure. Feel free to come by. Anytime you want to come on, you got something new coming up. Just let
I
me
would
know.
love to.
We'll bring you right on the show.
I would love to. I've got some stuff coming up I'd love to talk to you about. Thank you for having me. Thank you both.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And folks, hit that like button, subscribe to Tom's channel. If you're watching this on a replay, hope you enjoyed the replay. Hit the like button and sub to Tom's channel. So with that said, folks, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Aiken, for that 449 super sticker with the Shiba Inu dog waving bye-bye. Thank you so much.